Well, for more on U.S. education, we want to bring in Neal McCluskey. He is the director of the Center for Educational Freedom at the Cato Institute. Hi there, Neal. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thanks.
A recent test that was conducted by the Program for International Student Assessment, which Toby Muse just referred to, placed the U.S. 38 out of 71 countries in math, 24th in science. What's your reaction to this? Is this a good time to be making cuts?
Yeah, well, the first thing we have to realize is if you look at our spending and if you look at our outcomes, there's almost no connection. In fact, we spend more than almost any other country in the world. Switzerland, one or two others spend more than we do. So our problem has never been not spending enough. What our problem could be is, unlike a lot of countries, kids in America don't have a great deal of focus on math and on science. That could be a big part of the problem. The way we teach math and science could be part of the problem. But one thing is very clear, it is not a lack of spending that's led to our poor outcomes.
Well, how are those funds being misappropriated then?
Well, we see the funds used for a whole lot of things. Sometimes it's for really nice buildings, and there's not a lot of evidence that really nice buildings or lots of technology is something we spend a lot of money on. Very little evidence that those things lead to better outcomes. What we do see that seems to lead to better outcomes actually has very little to do with money. A lot of it has to do with culture. Do you come from a culture where there's a high focus on academic achievement? The U.S., very much apart from almost anywhere else in the world, focuses a whole lot on after-school activities like sports and after-school jobs, and very little on academic outcomes. And I think that's really where the heart of the matter is. Our culture is not focused on test scores.
Should that money be applied maybe to teacher salaries and incentivizing people to want to be in education?
Yeah, we do need to change the way that we pay teachers. There's no question about that. And probably good teachers, and there are lots of good teachers, should get paid more. One of our problems is we hire a whole lot of teachers, and instead of going for that much quantity, we may want to go for quality. But it's also worth noting that a lot of people have a lot of different things they want out of education, and we don't have great evidence that just getting good test scores is the best education. So we've aimed at high test scores, but there's not a lot of evidence that high test scores means your economy will be much better, your people will be happier, or you'll get many of the things people may want out of education.
But wouldn't a higher test score instill confidence in a student and then actually maybe install some sort of like future planning, them wanting to go on to college? I mean, it's been proven that people who go to college make twice as much as those who don't. Yeah,
well, the irony is actually that the people who do well on test scores, kids who do well on test scores, actually have lower confidence in their ability to do well. It may be that that is actually a factor of people who are heavily focused on how they do on tests and how they do in school tend to be very pessimistic about their abilities and how well they've done because they're so focused on it. But in terms of going to college, we don't have a problem actually of getting people into college. We have a problem of getting people through college, and often that's not because their test scores weren't high enough. It is sometimes academic preparation. A lot of times they're not all that focused on school, they're focused on other things.
Let's move on to the charter school debate. They're the hot ticket right now. They're the top of many lists as the most challenging and simply for being the best. What's your view on this? Do we have too many of them?
Yeah, I don't think we have too many charter schools. I think we need to be very careful, though, when we say, well, this type of school, a charter school is the best, or a traditional public school is the best, or a private school is the best. What we need to focus on is how do we get good schools of any type that are accessible to as many people as possible. Charter schools have done a lot to do that. Charter schools have opened in urban areas where they haven't always had great schools, and they become good schools that parents can now choose, and that's part of what's great about charter schools is you choose them, you're not assigned to them. But they're also great traditional public schools, they're great private schools, and we've never had a system, or we haven't, I shouldn't say never, we have in the last 100 years had a system where we've focused on the student and letting them and their family choose the best school for them. We've always focused on putting money into a single system, traditional public schools, and that doesn't make sense once you realize that all kids are different, all families are different, and all communities are different.
Well, what kind of message is it sending that the administration is in fact wanting to invest $267 million more in these charter schools? Is that encouraging people to attend?
I don't think that many people actually pay attention to what Washington's doing in education. It seems like they spend a lot of money, but only about 9% of all K through 12 money comes from Washington. But it is clear that the Trump administration says lots of nice things about charter schools and school choice broadly, to include private school choice. And I think maybe that helps to bring awareness to charter schools. But the fact of the matter is, charter schools have been around for over 20 years now, and people know about them. They especially know about them if they're in their neighborhood, because they hear this school is a good school to go to. And they may not even know it's a charter school, but they know it's a good school.
Are they draining money from the traditional run schools?
That depends how you look at it. So the idea is supposed to be the money follows the child. So when a student leaves a traditional public school and goes to a charter school, that money does follow the student. It's rare, though, that all the money follows the child. So that actually leaves more money on a per pupil basis, so more for each child who remains in the traditional public school. But again, our focus needs to be on getting individual kids to the schools that are best for them.
All righty. Well, Neal McCluskey with the Cato Institute, thank you so much.